Welcome viewers to another fabulous episode of Unapologetically Free. Now today I'm going to talk about how to resist temptation and not relapse. Now this entire video will be an answer to this series of questions posted by this user called JVD. Now he says, what would you recommend for a situation where relapse seems inevitable? Now he went on to say a few other things, but I'm going to break down whatever he has stated and just reply them accordingly. So once again, what would you recommend for a situation where relapse seems inevitable? Now first up, relapse is never inevitable. If I hold a gun and point it to your head and tell you that the moment you relapse, I'm going to pull that trigger and you can kiss your life goodbye, I can bet you that you will not relapse. And therefore, this entire idea, this mindset that relapse is inevitable stems from a certain belief that you have in terms of the amount of control you have over your ability to stop yourself from PMO. So your mindset has to shift, your vocabulary has to shift. Relapse is not inevitable. It is tough, it is very tough, but it is not inevitable. Change that mindset. Now he went on to say, for example, a situation where PMO, which means pornography, masturbation, and orgasm, has an unreal pull on you, and your mind can hardly be forced to move away from the decision that it has seemingly already made. Now, fapping and pornography is an addiction. It is an addiction, and it is tough as hell to move away from. Now we all know that. If it was easy, no fappers would have succeeded in droves, in huge numbers, but that is not true. Only the people who are really dedicated, or perhaps people who have a less severe form of addiction, are able to really push far into nofap and just be fapping free the rest of their lives. It's not easy, okay? But when you stated that your mind can hardly be forced to move away from the decision that it has seemingly made, it shows that you have already made a decision to relapse. Now, if that is the case, then obviously you will relapse. You don't have to be a genius. You have to constantly struggle against that. Because once you lose the battle in your mind and decide to relapse, what's going to stop you if you have already decided that you are going to relapse? Nothing will stop you. So first thing, you have to commit to not relapsing. Now he went on to say, specifically, I'm talking about situations where one is in great physical/mental/emotional distress, like going home from a party where you were flirting with girls or just getting horny. Now, first up, I have no idea why flirting with girls or getting horny is considered physical, mental, or emotional distress, but I'm going to assume that it is a form of distress. Let's say you just feel inadequate, perhaps, by how you related to people, so you start to feel down, and you feel that you have a strong need to want to rub one out. Now at this point, you have to realize that even negative energy is energy. All emotions are energy, even negative ones. And even horniness It is also energy. It's got sexual energy. And for those of you out there who know this, there's this concept of sexual transmutation where you take the sexual energy that you have and channel it into a certain goal, a certain direction that you have in life. That is why it's so crucial to have that sense of direction in life where whenever you have free time, you know the direction that you ought to be moving towards. Let me give some examples. For example, it could be playing the guitar, it could be learning to code, it could be talking to people, it could be exercising. You should always have something to fall back on. An idle mind is the workshop of the devil, and it is so true. Because if you go back from a party and you just feel this sense of emptiness, you feel this sense of meaninglessness, and then it's just you staring at your computer screen, you don't have to be a genius to know what will happen next. But if your life has a sense of direction, if your life has a sense of purpose, then at least you know that there is a place that I need to use this energy to get to, and I can't just dissipate it like that. And instead of focusing your attention on gratifying this urge to watch pornography, you instead say, hey, if I continue with this pornography thing, I may never ascend to a place of greatness. So screw that. I am going to focus on moving towards this vision that I have in my life. And that is so key. That is so key. Now then he then went on to say this. Also things like being intoxicated from mind-altering substances or hungover or just being very sleepy, for example. Now first up, you have no business messing your brain up with mind-altering substances. NoFap is the process of healing your brain. And ingesting mind-altering substances, which I assume is addictive in nature, is screwing up your brain the same way pornography is screwing up your brain. Now guy, it's not simply about stopping pornography. This whole NoFap journey is about stopping all forms of addictions in your life and healing your brain. Healing your brain. And NoFap is a huge part of it, but you should not allow yourself to come into contact with other forms of what you say mind-altering substances. Just stop that kind of lifestyle and choose to do the things that would benefit you in a healthier way, like exercising, like going for a jog. Those things are pleasurable and they are also good for your brain. They are also good for your brain. And about being sleepy, just go and sleep. There's no need to watch pornography when you're sleepy. Just go and sleep. And so this guy, he ends off by saying, so basically how to snap your mind out of the magnetic pull of PMO when a part of you has already made the decision, but technically you haven't physically relapsed. He said, I think it might be impossible. A relapse occurs in the brain first before it has happened physically. Cheers. Now, let me just give you this analogy. I'll use the analogy of waking up to an alarm clock. You don't decide to wake up when it's 6 a.m. and your alarm clock rings. The decision is already made when you set that alarm clock to 6 a.m. You have to be very clear about that, because you don't just simply set the alarm clock and say to yourself, tomorrow when the alarm clock rings, then I'll decide. You need to shift your mindset into saying, if I set my alarm clock at 6, that means I am waking up at 6. And this same mindset and philosophy needs to follow you throughout your life And that is when you are able to exercise discipline. So the question now is, when you are going on NoFap, when is the decision made? Have you truly committed to your decision? If you decide that I want to be on NoFap for 30 days, then the decision is made. Whenever there are thoughts that start to creep into your mind, you kill it immediately. You don't allow it to start growing into this this new sense of thought, to the point that you would have to come to a place where you decide, hey, now I think I'm going to decide to watch pornography. When you decide to go on the NoFap journey, the decision is already made. It's not going to be easy because physically you will feel that temptation. But once you set the goals, what I mentioned in previous videos, set specifics. Number one, the hands-off rule. Stop touching your dick. Don't ever touch your dick. Number two, don't allow yourself to even browse pornographic material. Just channel that energy into doing what you really want to achieve in this life. Okay? And trust in the process. Trust in the process, because you will be so much greater, man, at the end of 90 days. That I can guarantee you, because you have a newer brain, you have a healed brain, and all the nutrients in your body will be stored up because you would have retained your semen. Now, for a really practical tip, let's say you are just raging with hormones and just feeling so strongly the urge to rub one out. Doesn't matter what time of the day it is, even if it's at midnight, go for a sprint. Just go for a sprint, or just do 50 push-ups on the spot. Go for a sprint, and sprint to the point where you can't even think. Sprint so fast that you are just simply gasping for air. Then go for a cold shower when you get home. And this will allow you to shake off whatever emotions you were feeling previously. You may have been feeling depressed and be in physical distress and whatever. Make that decision, commit to it, okay? And use these contingency measures such as sprinting, such as a cold shower, to jot you out of that state where you just feel so frazzled and confused as to whether or not you want to fap. And I am very sure that you will succeed if you choose to succeed. Till then, I'll see you again.